This time right now in history, when racism, systematic injustice, and a global pandemic has us human beings globally exposing our deepest insecurities, fears, and doubts, it's important to find media that will inspire us into progressive action that forwards humanity, not pushes it back. How are you protecting your mind from biased narratives that may or may not even be what's going on? If you're ready to protect your mind during a noisy and dramatic world right now and equip yourself with the tools and tactics to keep your mind on your goals, this Ambitious Vet will be your episode.
You got to ask questions first and foremost. You know, we used to get that saying, like, don't ask a dumb question or whatnot, right? This is one of those times where I'm going to put that aside and say, ask. You got to start asking questions.
Yep.
You have to. Because I tell you what, we might be the only ones that could save this country at this point. But we got to start asking the questions, you know, and we got to not only ask the questions, we got to start coming up with some solutions, and then we got to start putting those solutions and acting on them.
Today's show is brought to you by Combat Flip-Flops. Are you ready to support something bigger than yourself while looking pretty good? Well, one of my favorite quotes from Muhammad Ali is this: service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. Think about that, Ambitious Vet. You are here to serve. You have it in your DNA. And Combat Flip-Flops does a really good job as far as creating peaceful, forward-thinking opportunities for self-determined entrepreneurs affected by conflict. Their willingness to take bold risks, build community connections, and create distinct military-inspired designs communicates their business, not bullets approach, which is completely flipping the paradigm on how wars are won, right? So if you're ready, if you're hearing this and you're just like, hey, I like their mission, I like what they're about, hey, they've even stepped into a Shark Tank and won 3 out of the 4 sharks on that show, including Mark Cuban, check out their gear at combatflipflops.com. And if you see any apparel, any footwear, any gear at all that you like to support their social global impact, at checkout, make sure you enter AMV Network. Again, that's AMV Network for a 25% off discount. Welcome to the Ambitious Vet Podcast. We believe that if you desire more than you have in any area of life, you have to become more in the process. Hi, my name is Chris Hoffman, Marine Corps combat veteran turned social entrepreneur, family man, and personal and professional development leader. On this show, I dive into the trenches with big thinking and conscious veterans who know what it takes to not only pay the bills after the military, but really live with a sense of purpose, satisfaction, and career fulfillment we all desire most after financial stability is no longer a challenge to overcome. If you haven't already, grab your pen and paper. It is time to gain the golden grenades needed to break through your fear barriers and live a life of purpose with passion.
It's time to get into the trenches, dig into your purpose, and fire up your life's fulfillment. The Ambitious Vet Podcast starts now.
What's going on, Ambitious Vet? Welcome back inside the trenches as we are committed to giving you the golden grenades needed to continue to advance and grow in your life, career, and business. Today we got Adam Bird on the show. Adam is an Army veteran, co-host of Decision Hour, Chief Executive Officer of Heroes Media Group. For those of you that are listening to this, you're like, what is Heroes Media Group? Well, they are a broadcasting platform dedicated to providing a voice for our community of heroes and those who support them. The group is dedicated to providing education, entertainment, and empowerment to active duty, veteran, firefighters, first responders, law enforcement, educators, medical professionals, and clergy. Adam and his team provide a voice to the community of heroes, which is bridging the gap between hero, citizen, and the communities they protect, educate, and empower. Adam, brother, are you there?
Hey, man. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing good, man, despite these times, despite these times.
It is a very interesting world that we live in right now.
Definitely is. And I think that this subject matter that we've been kind of teeing up for the show is very timely and very relevant, man. You being, one of what I consider an industry leader inside the media group, I'm excited to dive into that mind and dive into some key polarizing topics and pull out the best of you, man. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it, man. What do you got?
All right. So I just want to start out by asking you, for an ambitious vet that may be listening to this, and in their mind, they hear media as a television set. I'm watching the news. What are some other media outlets that we can consume on a daily basis? And let's kind of start from like step one, shall we? What are some media outlets that we consume on a daily basis?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris. There's a lot of people say media, and like you say, immediately they think of TV. There is TV, but you have radio, you have internet radio, you have satellite radio, you have people that still read, that get the newspaper. My neighbor still gets the newspaper a couple times a week. And then I think the 800-pound gorilla in the media industry now is digital media, like social media and stuff that you see on the internet. That seems to be kind of taking over everything.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny because it depends on the demographic too, right? Millennials are more towards the probably Facebook. Would you say like the generation before the millennials are more like TikTok?
Yeah. I don't do the TikTok. I don't even do the Snapchat. I grew up on the I remember MySpace and the Facebooks and the Instagrams and for business professionals, you have LinkedIn, which is one that I spend quite a bit of time on. I know there's another one out there. I can't think of the name of it. Rally Point for veterans in the military side of things, another one. But I mean, it really depends on the demographic. I think the younger era, and I'm not, I'm kind of a seasoned guy in my 40s, and I think these younger, I got a 17-year-old, and I was like, he's not, kind of hit or miss. It's like, now you see stuff on video games, or you can get online and see stuff through video games and connect that way and get news that way, as right. well. And you're just like, holy crap, what am I missing?
Yeah.
But you're right. It does depend on the generation. I think you just kind of got to tier towards who your audience is, depending on your business.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that, for generations, I think the baby boomers are now potentially getting out of the marketplace. It's hopefully that those retirement checks are helping them out, get out of the workforce. But like, how does these forms of media impact us like positively and negatively, right? Because over here with me, I know for a fact if I'm watching the television right now, because my fiance over here, she loves watching the news. 10 minutes, man, I'm already starting to feel depressed. I'm like, hey, I'm going for a run, right? Yeah. So what would you say, in your own words, man, what are some positive and negative impacts of media?
Wow. I would say the positive facts is that you might find something out. If it's something that you're interested in, something that you follow, and that's really kind of a broad answer for the positive side, let's maybe it's easier to start with the negative, because there's so much negativity in the world. Like, even just talking about right now, my blood pressure is going up. Like,
yeah.
You can't. The problem with media nowadays is, let's take mainstream media and the TV. You got the big media conglomerates like CNN, MSNBC, CBS, Fox is another one, although I think they're registered technically as an entertainment company. Take those types of things. Those anchors, those journalists were not paid for their opinion. And prior to like the Ronald Reagan era, there was very strict outlines of how media was, you had to tell the truth, you had to give facts and stuff like that. And that gradually washed away. So now you're giving an opinion. The media's job is to provoke an emotion of their viewers to follow. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they want to provoke an emotion from you that's going to fit their agenda. Right. And we're seeing that play out right now, today. You turn on any news channel, and you could turn on and I don't have anything. I'm an equal opportunist when it comes to mainstream media. I hate them all. So you turn on CNN and you're going to get one story. You could turn it on, and let's say if nowadays everybody's being political, let's go. You turn it on a left wing type media source, and they're going to talk about a story and put it towards their agenda, and then you're going to cover that same story from a right wing media outlet, and it's going to be a completely different story. Right. It's because they're working your emotions, and that's why I think we're seeing such a divide. It's a big reason why we're seeing the divide in the country that we're seeing right now, is because people are watching the news, and we're not getting all the facts. We've become a lazy society where we see, well, I saw it on CNN and CBS, so it must be true. It's all BS. Right? It's they're doing their job, provoking an emotion from you. It's getting you upset, so you must think it's true. Do your due diligence, and I'm probably getting ahead of myself here, but do your due diligence and kind of research some stuff. We all nowadays have smartphones and these computers, and we live in a very high-tech industry. Look stuff up, and even then, I'll use search engines like Yahoo, Google, Bing, and some of these other search engines and stuff. How do you know what you're getting is the truth? You really have to kind of dive in nowadays, and it's unfortunate, quite frankly.
Yeah. I mean, it is, and it sucks, man, because like someone that for myself, like, and I'm sure an ambitious vet maybe listening to this and it's just like, man, I can like feel people's pains through the television sets and through this media and stuff. And man, sometimes you feel it, and it's just tough that we can be manipulated that easily without knowing it. Right. So go ahead,
it's
man.
strange. It's mentally, and it gets to a point where it's physically exhausting, because you're just watching. There's just, I'm kind of an emotional guy and get worked up, and it's you see this stuff, and it's horrible what's going on. It's absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
And you keep watching that. Yeah, you start feeling depressed. All right, now I got to shut it off. I got to go for a walk. I got to go fishing. I got to walk my dogs. I got to do something. But and mind you, I'm in the media business where it's I'm not out with journalists and stuff like that, but it's something that I have to keep an eye on in the business that I'm in. And I'm sitting here at night just completely drained, because it's like, man, that was exhausting dealing with all the BS that's going on.
Yeah,
and
you're
trying to figure out how to change it.
Not only that, but like, especially if you're like in a marriage, which I know a lot of ambitious vets that listen to this podcast, you are married and have children and stuff like that. Sometimes you've got to deal with your spouse's emotions too throughout the process. Manage those while you're trying to grow in your career or find a new career in these times or whatever. So it can be challenging, and I think that at some points we need to figure out ways to protect our mind, which is kind of where I want to kind of shift gears now, Adam, is,
sure.
Veterans naturally, right? We are taught and conditioned to think groupthink for the most part, right? I know from my own experience when I was in the Marine Corps, I was trained, if I thought as an individual, man, I was on the quarterdeck doing push-ups, doing burpees, doing mountain climbers for days, right? Until I started thinking like everyone else around me, right? So we already naturally have this institutionalized way of thinking when we're getting out of the uniform, right? We find a corporation that we're finally finding financial stability, and we're feeling good, and we have other people still thinking about us. But man, why media? Why do we need to be protecting our mind from media? And how can we as ambitious vets, man, that are trying to reach that next level of success, how can we protect our mind and think independently? Consume the media, but sit back and do our own thinking on it.
Ask questions. Yeah, you got to ask questions first and foremost. We used to get that saying, like, don't ask a dumb question, right? This is one of those times where I'm going to put that aside and say, ask. You got to start asking questions.
Yep.
You have to. Because I tell you what, we might be the only ones that could save this country at this point. But we got to start asking the questions, and we got to not only ask the questions, we got to start coming up with some solutions, and then we got to start putting those solutions and acting on them.
Yeah.
As far as you asked, as far as what can we do to protect our minds from everything that's going on, limit the time that you watch the news. Shut that crap off. Excuse me, but I mean, shut it off. You know what I mean? And if you're, and here's the thing, sometimes it's so easy to get kind of caught up and go down the rabbit hole. If you feel yourself doing that, take a step back and then start researching some stuff. That, again, I go back, we've become a lazy society. It's like, well, I saw it on the news, so it must be true.
Yeah.
Do due diligence and figure out, well, why are they saying that? I spend a lot of time at night before I go to bed. It's like, oh, I heard this on that didn't seem right, or something doesn't sit right with me. And then you find out, like, okay, they're pushing the agenda. I tell everybody, and I've said this before, follow the money. Why are they saying some of the things that they're saying? Follow the money.
Yeah, that's good. And I love that question. Why are they saying that? Right. And then following up through doing your diligence, right? Like finding a way to, dive a little deeper on that. I mean, hell, I've said this on other episodes, Google's our new common sense for the most part, right? If you know how to even ask Google the right question. So,
and even that you have to look, because you don't know if you're getting the truth or not. This is the thing that blows my mind over the last couple of years is all the information is at our fingertips, right? Yeah. Google, Yahoo, Bing, whatever search engine you use, Google being the big one. And people saying that, oh, well, Google's, hiding some of the history or hiding this or changing stuff up, like literally trying to change history. And there's been situations where I've seen that. And I can't help but to think, like, how do we know what's true and what's not anymore? Right?
Yeah.
So if you go in with this, like, I'm going to research it myself, come up with my own educated, conclusion to it, try to keep an open mind about it. Like when I'm addressing somebody about a topic that I may not agree. You and I, for example, we may be talking about a topic we just don't agree on.
Yeah.
I totally respect the fact that you have your opinion and stuff like that. But here's the thing. I might believe in something so deeply that what you have, you're handing me the truth on a silver platter. It might not matter because my mind is so far gone in what I believe that I wouldn't even be able to recognize the truth, even if it was handed to me on a silver platter.
Yeah.
Think about that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. Ambitious Fed, if you're listening to that, that's some really good stuff because, we have people in the world today that feel like they're not heard. Right. And they're finding ways to be heard on the streets nationwide. And, sometimes we have to find ways to seek to understand versus being understood and kind of sitting back and not being reactive with our emotions and just sitting back, be strategic, practice patience, tacticality, as Matt Griffin from Combat Flip Flops said a couple weeks ago, and just assess, do what we do best, which is minimize risk and find ways to be strategic during these times and don't act out of emotions. So brother, that's some really good stuff. So I would ask you now, since like you're, obviously you run Heroes Media Group and you bring in some inspiring messages and stuff like that. How are you guys getting ahead of like this kind of news, and how are you kind of twisting it to a positive agenda in your own words?
That's something that I personally have been working on. That's been kind of my own personal project. So Heroes Media Group started off as just like a podcasting network, and it's expanded into so many other things. We have a full-fledged publishing department now. We do audiobooks and all that other stuff, as well as, we have a lot of over 40 podcasts on the network right now. And we have services for, both of those departments and whatnot. But one of the things that I'm trying to do and what we're working on is, finding more content writers that we can start recruiting, bring in, and start writing stories. And I want stories. I don't want like one-sided stories. Leave the stories, the writers that we have worked for us in the past, I've always had them end the story, leaving it open to let the reader decide which is, true or not, or give them references to where they can look stuff up themselves. I think that's important. I don't want to have to convince anybody like, hey, this is what I'm saying. This is our way. Mm-hmm. Like it or not. That's not what it's about. I want it to be open to everybody. And then obviously the other thing that we're doing is just adding value to people. That's one of the things that we're doing with the podcast. All the podcasts that are on the network, I'm very, very fortunate. I don't call them, they're part of the HMG family. They're family to me, right? And each show is unique in its own way, and it's adding value to the community. Yeah. And we want to continue to grow on that. This isn't going to happen overnight. We as a country got here. It's taken us years to get to where we're at right now. Yeah. I know it's going to take years and years and years to get to where I see where we could be. But it starts with changing people's mindset, or at least planting the seeds. We're in that planting the seed phase right now, where it's like, hey, let's try to look at this from a different perspective. Let's try to be positive instead of being negative, because there's just as many positive things that are going on, if not more positive things that are going on in the world right now. But all we see is the negative. Yeah. Let's be the voice that kind of brings everybody up and pushes people forward.
Yeah. And I think that's important. I think that's an important message, especially for the Ambitious Vet Network to hear, right? Because we want to be figuring out how to be forward thinking, progressive minded, and we're all about growth mindedness here, right? So, a lot of the talk on the streets, quote unquote, that you could say is like, as far as, people just talking, high performing people are talking inside the network, is about these triple C's and how politics, media can, just do cognitive biases, right? And the triple C's are the confirmation bias, coverage bias, concision bias, and stuff like that. And this is kind of bottom line that Ambitious Vet is confirmation bias is pretty much, you are looking for things to validate your belief, right? So you're actively consuming TV, radio, stuff like that, and just being like, hey, is that what I agree with? Coverage bias is consistency. What do you consistently see on a daily basis? And the last one is concision bias, which is you're selectively finding things. And when you do that, you lose perspective. So, brother, what are your thoughts on getting ahead of those cognitive biases, and how is, Heroes Media Group getting ahead of that, man, so we can stay progressive and unstuck, man, so we can be the high performers that we are?
I think it goes back to what I said earlier is just keeping an open mind about it. You're talking about cognitive biases and consuming, so looking for stuff that you agree with.
Yeah.
One of the things I do is I listen to audiobooks. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, so I travel a lot. And I try to listen to stuff that just interests me, whether it's listening to an autobiography or some type of self-help that just helps me, like, hey, you're doing good, guy.
We need that. We need that.
I need that pat on the back. But as far as like trying to stay ahead, it's tough, man, because because of the way the world is today. I don't have a direct answer for that. But since you asked, the thing that's coming kind of punching me in the gut right now is, I tell people to keep an open mind and watch what you consume, and don't react. Harness what you're taking in, but don't have a reaction to it. Just take it, hold on to it, and then kind of don't, as you said earlier, don't react with an emotion.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if you react with an emotion, we're human. That stuff happens. I do it myself.
Yeah.
But when you react with emotion off of something you've seen on, like, the news or something like that, you're letting them win. And I like to make a game out of it. Like, I'm not going to let the news win.
Yeah.
Today. I'm going to take what they said. I'm going to sit with it. I might get a little upset, but I'm not going to react to it. And then I'm going to do my due diligence, do my homework, and then come up with what I think is the truth and whatnot. Yeah. And then more importantly, if I have questions, I'm going to ask.
Yeah, no, that's great. And, I don't know about you, but for me, I like to go back and ask like my personal board of directors that respect their opinions. Hey, what do you think about this stuff too, man? To kind of gather data too, not just take the media for the, surface level. That's the truth. Right. So how do you reset yourself as you continue to, build Heroes Media Group throughout these times?
It's a great question. I'm an outdoor guy. and I got 2 dogs, so I usually go for walks. And now that the weather is getting a little bit nicer, I find myself more frequent at the local watering hole fishing
Yeah, come
for a
on.
few hours, and just it might be, I might get up at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, go fish until like 7, come home, shower, and then get to work.
Mm,
And then by then my mind's clear. I'm ready for the day. I got to be out in nature where it was calm
yeah.
and collective. And so I try to stay active. You have to make time for yourself. If you're a business owner, you got to make time for yourself. If you're in front of your computer and just go, you're going to run yourself into the ground, and then
Mhm.
you're going to end up, that's where mistakes happen.
Oh, yeah.
Make time
Wow.
for yourself. And for me, it's, being outdoors.
Yeah. I love how you can slow down like that, man. And it takes a lot of years in business to learn to slow down and realize
Yeah.
you're not losing momentum,
Right.
right?
Yeah. It takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, that's awesome, brother. So, I mean, Heroes Media Group is doing some amazing things to kind of like shift the narrative during these times, right? Which that's one thing that if you, Ambitious Vet, if you're listening to this and you go to their website, which will be in the show notes below, and we'll promote it here in a little bit. But check out their website because it's great. It's bringing in heroes' voices and local and nationwide communities and sharing the good news, which is sometimes what we need during these times is see the good versus seeing the bad. So, brother, I want to kind of tee it back to you. How are you guys right now shifting the paradigm, shifting the narrative in the world right now with the distribution of media? I mean, you mentioned it before. You're looking for content writers and stuff like that. But what's your guys' like vision with that? What do you guys want to do in the next 5-10 years with what you guys are doing?
Shut down mainstream media.
Come on, man. Kick down the door.
I'm, people are like, oh, you're crazy. That, like, yeah, I am. And I think it'll happen. It might not be 5 years. It may take 7 years.
Yeah.
But ultimately it's, we want to be a news source for positivity. I understand that negative things happen. Great.
Yeah.
You can see that's not great, but I mean, you know what I mean? It's that stuff happens. You get that stuff on mainstream media right now. Let's hear the feel good stories on what's going on right now in the communities. We have, shows all over the country, Florida, Texas, New York, Boston, several shows in Arizona, California. I got people all over the country, and we want to, continue to add value by giving, positive stories. That's it. It's really that simple. It's just finding people that want to contribute and write about, something good that happened in their neighborhood.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I think even like for people that want to write and be within a medium to kind of grow their career, I think it's a great way to build that career as well, to kind of provide good news sources, all that good stuff. And yeah, man, like I said, I visited the website and it is definitely jam-packed with great positive news. A good friend of ours, Ambitious Vet, John Krotek, Straight Outta Combat, is a show there, and audio medicine and all that. So I just love how you're distributing audio medicine amongst the world during this time, because we all need that.
Yeah.
That healing, man. We need that healing.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And, it's great. I'm fortunate enough to work with a lot of organizations where our website's kind of going through a complete revamp. We're hoping to relaunch the website sometime early fall. But I mean, I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of nonprofit organizations, government organizations, and stuff like that. We're going to highlight some of that, coming up later this year.
Awesome.
And all the good things that they're doing. And it's, many hands make light work. And I would not be where we're at. Heroes Media Group would not be where we're at if it wasn't for everybody that's involved. So I got to say thank you to everybody that is part of the HMG family and that has been a part of the HMG family or has contributed to the HMG family in some form or fashion, because without them, we wouldn't be where we're at today.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love how you just push it back to your team, man, because one thing that I know about this man, Ambitious Vet, if you're listening, is I met him at a conference, a veteran tailored conference not too long ago. And he is a guy that is all about other people. spotlighting and lifting them up. And he was just, hey, you need to know this person. Hey, meet this person and stuff like that. And, Adam Bird is one of those people that you want to have close in your Rolodex. Someone that is value driven, principle driven, all about community-based things. That's kind of where the world and business world is going. So Ambitious Vet, even if you're just wanting to inquire about being a content writer, if you're a podcaster, beginning podcaster, just thinking, hey, how do I get this thing going, right? Because, man, I don't know if you've read this stat, Adam, but I'm sure you have, but 90% of podcasters fail within 7 episodes. They don't go past the 7th episode.
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Yeah, it's because people realize, oh crap, this is like a full-time job or a part-time job. It takes people are like, I'm going to do a podcast. Great. Why don't we sit down and talk about it and let me hear your idea? And then they get into it and I was like, all right. They're like, so what do you think? Good idea. Now let me tell you this. And then I go through my list and they're like, never mind. This isn't for me. It's like, I've talked people out of doing podcasts and people are like, and that's, mind you, those are potential, new family members that I could be bringing in,
of course,
generating revenue from, but it's not, I'm not about the money. It's about what's doing right. And if it's a good fit for the person, then yeah, I'll help you out. If it's not a good fit, I'm going to tell you, I don't think this is going to be really what you think it is. Maybe you should think about this a little bit longer.
Yeah. That's good. That's good because maybe their strength is content writing. Maybe they do video or something, right? They may have a different strength that you
or maybe they shouldn't be doing it at all.
It's fair. That's great. Well, hey, honesty never killed anybody, right? Well,
no, yeah. Well,
yeah. Well, I mean, honesty is definitely something that people need sometimes. And man, not everyone does it. Some people chase the dollar and, you're doing some good things as far as, just not crushing people's dreams. But I can look back in my life and be like, hey, the people that were just like Chris, I think you're going down the wrong range. Your heart doesn't seem like into this. I didn't understand in the moment, but, it's led me to where I am today. So sometimes the honesty, it's a humble pill you got to swallow. May hurt in the moment, but I mean, it's kind of one of those things where you got to suck it up, buttercup, and look at the next opportunity. So I appreciate those words because it's easy to just get into a big pitch session and be like, hey, yeah, Heroes Media Group and all that. And you're just not one of those guys. You're always figuring out how do you elevate people in the direction that they're wanting to go to.
I want to say something because you said something about, chasing the dollar and that resonates with me because I often tell people for me, I didn't start this. Do I want to be rich and become, a multimillionaire someday?
Yeah.
If that happens, if that's in the cards, great. It's not about the money for me.
Yeah.
And for all of you ambitious vets out there that are listening, you got to find your purpose in life. And I think, I was kind of a late bloomer. I found this purpose, just several years ago, about a decade ago now, I guess I've been doing this. And wow, geez, I'm getting old.
Yeah.
And I realized that once you have that purpose, when you're not chasing, if you're going to chase a dollar, then that's fine. Nothing wrong against those of you that want to do that. I'm going to tell you, you're going to end up doing that the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you have purpose and you follow your purpose with passion, the profit will always follow.
That's good wisdom. That's good stuff. Ambitious Vet, I hope you wrote down that golden grenade, but we're going to be right back into the trenches with Adam Bird for his 3 golden grenades, even if he wants to sum all this up or bring you 3 new golden grenades that you can implement immediately in your life and career business. We'll be right back after thanking our sponsor. Big thanks to Brute Force Sandbags. Now, Ambitious Vet, if you're listening to this, if you're anything like me during these times, you're trying to get a little bit more creative with your workouts and or you're just looking to go back into your glory days and train a little bit more tactically, I request you go and you check out Brute Force Sandbags, which focuses on the gear, the training, and the lifestyle you need to train accordingly. Best thing about it is free shipping domestically. They have a great warranty on them and also a 30-day money-back guarantee if you get the gear and you're just like, hey, you know what? I don't like it, right? Choose Brute Force, train accordingly today. All right, Ambitious Vet. Again, thank you for joining us today. We are in the trenches with the one and only Adam Bird, the chief executive officer of Heroes Media Group, an Army veteran who's out shifting the narrative inside the media industry and providing heroes' voices and inspiring messages amongst communities, families, and stuff like that nationwide and potentially soon, if not already, globally. So, Adam, man, we have a tradition here. We dive into the 3 golden grenades, man, or wisdom bombs that you want to drop in here that could help an ambitious vet that's been out for 3 years now. They have financial stability, man, but they're just lacking something in life, career, or business. What would be 3 golden grenades that you would drop in to the show today?
Man, that's a kind of a broad question there. One of the first things I would say is network. Get volunteer. Find an organization, something that you're passionate about or that you believe in, and volunteer. Go out and volunteer a couple hours a week, or a couple hours a month, and volunteer. Because in doing so, and this is kind of the second one, it helps you network, right? It's not always what you know, but who you know. It's amazing if you're networking. So volunteer is the first one. The other one is find your purpose. If you have an idea of what you want, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying before the break, is find your purpose. If you're not 100% sure what it is, that's fine. Start doing the things that you like to do. Maybe you're sitting on the fence about starting a business, right? If that's your purpose, if you feel that that's your purpose, then the next thing you need to do is jump. Jump. You don't have to learn how. I don't know how. I'm too afraid. Doesn't matter. Jump. You'll learn how to fly as you're falling. You're gonna fall. Or I like to use the analogy as like picture, walking in the woods, and as you're walking in the woods, you come to a fork in the road. You go to the right. You can see that path is pretty worn. Everybody goes to the right. If you go to the left, it's kind of a rocky trail. A couple people have gone down there. You could choose to do that. But people don't realize there's this third option. You could find the thickest part of the woods and blaze your own trail through that. And that's where I don't consider myself necessarily a trailblazer per se, but it's like I found the thickest part of the woods and I started chopping down bushes and stuff, and I fell, it scraped up and whatnot. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. How many was that? 2, 3?
You're spitting them out. Yeah.
Let me add another one if I may.
Do it.
One of the things that you definitely want to do as you're finding your purpose in life is you have to have faith in yourself. Have faith and believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, how do you expect anybody else to believe in you? And I guarantee you there are going to be times where you do not believe in yourself and you're going to be hard on yourself. And that's to be expected. That's where that first grenade comes in, where you're networking and volunteering and stuff, because now you've established a group of people, a support group, right? You can turn to them and those are like your cheerleaders and whatnot. So it all ties together. Does that make any sense? I kind of rambled there, but hopefully somebody got something out of that. That was good.
No, I love it. What I heard in that, brother, is like the networking is the net to you, falling out of the plane, right? The network is what catches you, right? Yep. Because, man, I mean, going to conferences, going to networking events, going and connecting with people that are on the same path of becoming better, man, some of those relationships saved me along the way. So like chopping through, because sometimes, being a quote unquote trailblazer or just someone that's trying to leap out of a corporate career to start a side hustling podcast or wanting to chase their dream and writing inspiring content for like Heroes Media Group, that can be scary. And you need to have a quality, just open-ended network is what I would say too. Right. Have it just always be one population, right? Like just a veteran network, like have different communities to plug into so they can catch you. So, I mean, Ambitious Vet, I would say with Heroes Media Group, this is a new family that you can plug into, another net to catch you along your journey as you grow your media career. But I'm going to tee it back to Adam real quick.
Let me throw one more thing in there, Chris, if I may.
Yep.
I got a notebook that I carry with me ever, and I'm old school. I could write my notes in my phone and whatnot. I don't do that. I take a notebook everywhere I go, and I'm constantly jotting notes down.
Yeah.
If that's not something that you're doing right now, especially if you're not sure exactly what you want and you have all these ideas, write your ideas down, because you have a better chance at starting to pursue those ideas and those dreams or those goals or aspirations, whatever you want to call it, by writing them down. So I just wanted to throw that in there as well.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I love it, man. I love it because, man, we can be forgetful sometimes. We're always thinking about stuff, right? So like jotting it down captures it, right? It's definitely a powerful practice. So Adam, man, where can people go and find more about Heroes Media Group, what you guys are doing? And man, maybe if any ambitious vet's listening right now and it's just like, hey, like I want to figure out what it takes to, start a podcast during these times. I have a voice, I have a message, I have a mission. I want to be heard. Maybe through writing content. Where do they go to figure out more about what you guys are doing, man?
Yeah. Thank you. They can go to heroesmediagroup.com. It's heroesmediagroup.com, all one word. You can find us on all the social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Parler, all at Heroes Media GRP. Follow us there. If you want to send me an email, you can email the company emails info@heroesmediagroup.com. And that usually comes right to where I usually get a copy of that, and I'm usually the one that answers those emails if I'm around. So feel free to email us, and I'd love to set up a conversation and see how I can help get you to where you want to go.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, brother, man, I just appreciate your kind heart, man. I appreciate you bringing in a hell of a lot of golden grenades inside this show. And brother, just thanks for bringing in a positive message like Heroes Media Group can. Thanks for joining the show.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it, brother.
The Ambitious Vet is available on all popular podcast platforms. Go to vettrainingcoaching.com to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow vets.
Today's show is brought to you by Combat Flip-Flops. Ambitious Vet, if you are ready to support not only the American economy's recovery, but the global forward movement of humanity and its economy as a whole, right? I request that you go and you check out combatflipflops.com and support a veteran-owned brand that's pushing humanity forward, one flip-flop at a time. If you like something on their website, don't forget at checkout to enter in AMV Network for a 25% off discount.